Hi, Bronwyn. How are you?
Good morning from Australia.
I know that the first of time between you and Australia, and I made you to get up so early, but it's how we deal with things. So welcome.
Thank you so much. And exactly, when we work on a global level, we have to do 4 a.m. mornings sometimes.
I know that well. So I do appreciate what you do for us because I know well that it's so early for you. It's I guess it's 4 a.m.
Yeah. 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes.
Yep, no, all good.
Okay. People are just joining, and we'll be starting in a couple of minutes, just 2 or 3 minutes, to make sure that most of the people are with us. I guess you can see my screen now. I think all of you can see my screen now. Yeah. Now people are increasing in number. I guess in just 1 or 2 minutes we'll be in the usual average of every week. Usually we go in average of about 20 to 30, sometimes 40, according to the time and according to the commitments of other people in other webinars. So our start is a good one today. We have a lot of people with us today. I think we are gonna start, and I'm going to admit people while doing our job, and then I'm going to make you host to be able to share your screen, Bronwyn. Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'd like to announce that all people, please, I'm muting all people now, and if you'd like to add something or share an idea, just raise your hand. I'm going to either to pick up your question and ask Brennan it later on, or if it's available to ask her just on the track, I'm going to move the question to her. So please mute yourself because we lack the background noise all the time. Welcome, Turan, dear friend, welcome. Okay, as you see from my screen now, this is the weekly webinar that we hold. I'm just gonna. I guess you can listen to the soft music now. Yeah, okay. These are the regular webinars that we hold weekly, international ones, and today we have a great linguist, Mrs. Brennan from Australia. And I'm not going to talk about her now because I'm going to present her later on. Let's move to the next slide. This is the Introduction about our presenter today, our main speaker, Mrs. Bronwyn, is a motivated, enthusiastic education specialist and internationally renowned guest speaker with a vast array of experience in fostering a cohesive learning atmosphere while embracing emerging knowledge of effective teaching and learning theory with an emphasis on delivery of thorough and engaging education programs to students as well as the development and the growth of strong school communities. She is consistently demonstrates effective leadership planning and delivery as team and unit leader and taking higher duties as assistant principal when needed and leading education globally as a speaker, innovator, and manager of online teams. Lots and lots and lots about our presenter today. The most important thing to say is that she has won a lot of awards internationally, and the most important one, I guess, she is proud of it. She has got the award of the Global Teacher in 2020, right?
Yeah.
I think this is the most one that you are proud of. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll give you the chance later on to talk about yourself freely before we have our early start. Okay. Now, today, our dear speaker is going to talk about the Global Right app and the Global Right platform, and she's going to talk about that thoroughly later on. And she's also going to talk about the importance of students recording their thinking. Before I let her and give her the authority to share her screen, I'm gonna to uncover the secret which I've talked about before, which is that I think our guest today has got a little bit of a nap to be able to get up so early because, as we said, it's for it's for a dawn time now in Australia. So it's only here in Egypt. It's 10 past 7 evening. So it's a nice time for us, but it's a struggle for our speaker today. So we have all of us, we have to thank her because she got up early. She left the cover and the bed to be able to speak to us. I do thank you for that. A quickie puzzle. Read and think and try to guess what am I talking about. Look at this. What are we talking about? 3, 2, 1, makes it none. 3, 2, 1, makes it none. Riddle. When you have 3 of these, you have 3. When you have 2, you have 2. When you have 1, you have none. What is it? Okay, just think. What are we talking about here? Once more. When you have 3 of these, you have 3. When you have 2, you have 2. When you have 10, you have 10. But when you have 1, you have none. What is it? Anybody can help?
You have no obligation.
I have no obligation. Okay, it's something of the same pronunciation. Okay, how can it be? Anybody can help? If I have 3, then I have 3. If I have 2, I have 2. If I have 7, I have 7. But if I have 1, I have none. Yes, Mr. Ahmed? I guess your voice is not so clear, Mr. Ahmed. Would you please adjust your... what?
I mean, try to.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Try.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Okay, anybody else? Okay, what about options? Choice. What do you think of that? If you have two choices about something, then you have two choices. If you have three, you have three. But if you have one choice, so you have no choice. This is the answer.
Yeah.
Am I right? When you have three choices to do something, then you have three choices to do that
Yeah.
thing. When you have four, you have four. When you have two, you have two. But if you have just one choice, so you have none. It's none. Okay. Now with our guest, with our great presenter today, who took of her time to be able to help us and to give and share some of her experience. Mrs. Bronwyn, I'm going to give you the host authority, and you are going to be able to share your screen. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Please admit people while you are going through. Bronwyn?
Yes, yeah, it's
now you
sorry,
are the,
yeah.
now you are the host and you can share your screen, but please admit people while you are going through. Okay.
Okay. All right. So firstly, thank you so much for having me. And it is an absolute honour. And yes, it is very early here in Australia, but this is nothing new for me. I make my time for whoever needs me around the world, and I think that's what's really important. It's important that we connect and we learn from each other, and that is the power of global collaboration. And it's really important that you do get a perspective from all over the world of what's happening and what's new to bring into your classrooms. So for me, yes, in 2020, it was probably one of the toughest years ever for me. I was to host Australia's first ever Future Ready global conference, and I was bringing around 150 speakers from around the world to Australia, and COVID happened, and within 4 months of this happening, the conference had to be cancelled. So that was a huge dream of mine, and because I wanted to give back to the global community who had done so much for me, I wanted to bring them to Australia. So 2020 definitely had that downside for me, but we move on. And what I then did was I created the Global Right. And I'm just going to share my screen with you now. Okay, so you should be able to see in front of you the website, which is the Global Right. And I'll just talk to you for a moment about how that came about. So I'm very passionate about all areas of the curriculum, but in particular literacy. And when we think about our kids, our students as writers, we too often force on them what we want them to write about. And so I think that what is so important and for engagement in our classroom is that we give our students options when it comes to literacy. And so through I call it the Writer's Notebook, which is just basically, here's my writer's, I've got my writer's notebook here in front of me. It's simply just a big work pad. And basically my students, every student has one of these and that size, because it's really important. Students love big. And so having a big notebook, you know, it really puts value on the process as well, because it allows them plenty of space for creativity and to be individuals. So what then that leads to is, as educators, we take away the thinking from our students. And one of my areas of teaching that I sometimes stumble on is that I talk too much. And then I lose the engagement of my students. And then I wonder why I'm not getting the quality work that I'm asking for. So what I'm then doing is I'm taking the thinking away from them. I'm assuming they can't think. And too often teachers think and reduce the level of thinking that our kids can do in the classroom. So through the Right Notebook, we open up their world, we give them choices, and we allow them to create and think before they start writing. And as part of the Global Write, I have that as a section in the Global Write. I have a pre-thinking section before we write, and we'll go through and we'll have a look at that. But what I wanted to begin with is, and as you can see here on the website, there is a lot of, I've made this teacher friendly. It's basically, it's a recipe for you to teach writing, or even if you're teaching around the sustainable development goals. It doesn't even have to be writing. It can be a global education classes. It can be reading classes,
According to the goal, I guess.
science.
According to the goal.
Sorry?
According to the goal you have planned your lesson
Yes.
for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every week we attach a sustainable goal, but we also attach, and I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but it's called the Good Life Goals as well. And I'll show you those shortly as well. But the Good Life Goals are great for young learners. And so we've just brought those on board in the last week. To join those into the Global Write as well. So I'm just going to begin here a little bit and a background on the Writer's Notebook for you. So the Writer's Notebook is a safe place for all our learners to write safely. And I think what's really important about that Writer's Notebook is there's no rules and there's no restrictions. So it's a space for our kids to think and reflect on anything at all. And my students use their Writer's Notebook across the curriculum in all areas when we need them to think before they have to. Every notebook is different because every student is different, and it is individualized by their unique feelings, thoughts, and beliefs. And here is where our learners really are true writers, and they write for motivation and purpose. And you can see here's just an example of a page of a student that they can draw, they can put pictures in there, they can write. Again, there's no rules. So when you leave here, I hope that you think about bringing a Writer's Notebook on board at your schools and at your classrooms. So I always say it begins now. When you start the Global Write, it begins. So it's a place to record their thinking about the Global Write prompts, as well as they're able to find. So you need to find a blank notebook. You need I allow my kids to decorate. So these are the front covers of different notebooks. So I allow them to decorate their notebooks if they want to. And you can keep the Writer's Notebooks at school, or you can send the Writer's Notebooks home. I'm not sure whether you guys are in remote learning. Are you in remote learning or face-to-face at the moment?
And I know I think all over the globe, it's all of them are online learning.
Oh, yep. See, in Australia, we're face to face. So yeah, so we're in class. So the students would have these at home with them, and very, very easy for them to set up. Now, Ralph Fletcher is he's the man, he's the expert, he's where I get all my inspiration from, and he's a famous writer from the United States. And the Writer's Notebook is a huge part of his push for student thinking. And his quote resonates with me as, "Writer's Notebook is a blank book where a writer can engage in fun, often messy, the job of being a writing, practicing and listening, playing with language, gathering images, insights and ideas. The purpose of such a notebook is to nourish the writer. Such a notebook is one of the most essential tools of the trade for teaching for students." And I think that's really important. And here's just some of his resources that you can buy online that also back up the thinking of the Writer's Notebook. Amy Buckner's book, the first one here, is the Notebook Know-How, Ralph's small book about the Writer's Notebook, and The Joy to Write. So they are easy access online. Amazon has them, and I would recommend any of those three books. But I think as I move on to the important part, when students write from experience, they can breathe those specifics into their writing: dialect, odd smells, precise names of plants. They can animate even the most tired and tedious text. Okay, and that tells us that the power of what the Writer's Notebook brings. So let's now talk to you about the exciting Global Write and how I make life easy for you guys in your classrooms and with your students. So the Global Write is 100% free, so you can access this website, and I have already set up all the teaching resources for you. And every week I put out a new teaching resource. I think it's really important that we offer this free because education should not be about money. It should be about learning from each other, and it should be about teaching and sharing resources. And that's why I created this, because too often we have to pay high prices for lessons, and I wanted every classroom around the world to have access to these resources. The Global Write currently is now being used in African schools, in Malawi, in Ghana. It's used right across the US, here in Australia, in Europe. So we're on 6 continents now, as we have over 200 classrooms around the world using this now as the leading writing that's happening in their classrooms. So these are just 2 images that were sent to me this week from remote learning, from students who were at home doing the Global Write. And you can see they're in their notebooks. And what we call that is that they're unpacking their thinking. So they're not writing a draft piece of writing yet. They are unpacking their thinking before they actually write. And I think that's, as you can see, they've got their own creativity to it. They're making notes. And then what they can then do from that is they can then step into the next phase of the writing process, which is they can write a draft or start preparing a piece of writing. The prompts you will find here and the work you'll find are creative, inspiring, and they're all global. These are just some images from a global nomadic artist that I use a lot of his work for students thinking, Joel Bergner, and you'll find lots of creativity in the prompts. I cannot do anything without the sustainable goals. They are the most important tool that we should be using in our classrooms every day. And it's really important that we link these to our learning in every way that we can. And so these are the Good Life goals. And the Good Life goals are a second representation of the SDGs, and they're very good for young writers, young students, and so you'll see a lot of the Good Life goals now connected to our weekly work. If you're on the website, you just have to click on the picture here and it will take you directly to those Good Life goals. What I love about the Global Right is we allow your students to have a voice globally. And that's when it comes to the SDGs, I think that's really important that we allow a platform for our students to take their work and share it with students and educators all over the world. And I'm very lucky to be connected to 3 major technology tools, that being Flipgrid, Wakelet, and Buncee. And I allow all 3 of those, and I'll be able to show you those in a moment, but students can publish their work in either of those 3 platforms. So they can either make a video through Flipgrid, they can upload a writing piece on Wakelet, or they can make a creative poster through Buncee. So I've given every option I can to educators to be able to share their students' work. Also, each week, I have an educator in Argentina and one in Canada who prepare a Google slide and a Buncee presentation. Now, this is excellent for remote learning because you will be able to then link, if you're using Google Classroom or you're using Seesaw or any of those global tech tools to connect with your students, you can connect these, the Google slide, and you can see it will have all the instructions from the Global Right on that. Here's the Buncee, it's the same, it's there, and it's all ready for you. So and you can see I'm lucky to be partnering with some amazing people around the world to make this happen. So I wanted to share with you what a weekly prompt looks like, and I'm very excited to be able to share next week's prompt with you. That was loaded. We published that last night, and as you can see here, when you go to weekly prompts, you will just find all the different resources that you can access at any time to be able to use in your classroom. You don't have to go week to week. You can just choose a topic and or then use that topic. So when you go into our weekly topic, you'll always find a graphic. And so this week we are concentrating, or this week coming, we're concentrating on International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and we're teaching students around about that day and the importance of that day. Now, a lot of our weekly prompts come from the United Nations and their recommendation of what we should be teaching and exposing our students to for discussion in class. So this January, there's a hashtag We Remember to make sure that the Holocaust is never forgotten. Now, you don't have to go into great detail if this is something that you would not comfortable talking to your students about. You can choose different parts of it. So the prompt has got some different parts. I always have a video for the students to watch. And then this is the first phase of the Global Right, and it's planting the, I call it planting the seed. So we're unpacking our thinking, and every week I will unveil for you, or I will share with you a new thinking tool that you can use with your students. And this week we're going to be looking at unveiling stories. And So while listening to the story of Anne Frank, and we're centering on Anne Frank as our focus this week, your students would have to think about what's the story, what's the human story, what's the world story, what's the news story, and what's the untold story. So here, what we're getting students to do is think about the layers that goes with an actual story or a visual that we're getting them to do. I then have a text that they will listen to as well. And here I give them an example of what their page might look like. So this is my writer's notebook page, and I can prove this to you because I've got my big pink book here, and here is my my page. So, this was just an example of how creative the kids can get. They can do it to however they like. We then tell teachers, don't forget to post a photo to Wakelet. Then we provide a writing prompt. So the writing prompt for next week is for young learners. So we cater for all ages from 5 years up to university. And for our young learners, Anne Frank was. And they get to write a sentence, and they also can draw a picture and share that. For our senior writers, we want them to create a biography or an information report about Anne Frank's life. And I've provided them with an additional video, and they can then watch that and supply that for you. Here, I make it very easy for you to publish their writing. You just have to click on one of the buttons and it will take you to Wakelet, Buncee or Flipgrid. If we went to Wakelet, as you can see, it will bring up the weekly prompt on Wakelet. When it wakes up, it's a little early here in Australia, so it's maybe asleep with everybody else. But it will bring up the Wakelet, and all that needs to happen is it will come up with an edit. As you can see now, it's slowly unraveling.
Bronwyn, can we have a breath, please?
Yes.
Okay, because I've got a notification that we are going to be disconnected in 1 minute.
Okay.
We are going to just click on the same link once more, and we are going to rejoin once more in 1 minute.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So be aware that you are going to be disconnected. Click the link once more, and we are going to rejoin. Let me have the chance to welcome my dear Professor, Mr. Magdi Mustafa. Welcome, dear. My first teacher.
Thank you.
Mr. Turan, my dear friend from Turkey, the great professor. Happy to have you once more today. We've got lots of friends. I don't know who to mention. So welcome all to our platform. We have these webinars each 2 weeks. So all of you are welcome to be with us. Bronwyn, don't be worried if you are disconnected, because we have just 40 seconds and we are going to be disconnected. Just click on the same link, okay?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, just go on, Bronwyn. Yeah.
So if I just, okay, I've got.
We have less than a minute now.
Yeah.
Less than a minute, yeah. So I think we'll just about let, while we're, Wakelet's still asleep.
Yeah.
So.
It's going to cut, yes.
We're gonna play hide and seek. I think.
Okay.
Okay. It's past 40 now. Maybe they have forgotten us.
No, I think it just. Yep, there it is.
It's going down.
Yes.
Okay. So by the way, Bronwyn, do these
Yes.
three